This was my back in 1994, and today's workout is a back and ab workout. And I want to talk about some things that I think that are important with back and back exercises. First set, 45 pounds, 20 reps. This is just to kind of get warmed up a little bit. One of the most important things that I think that you have to do when you're training your back is to keep your back flat and slightly arched up. You never want your lower back to round over. If you keep it flat and arched up, you're going to protect your lower back and actually help it to become stronger, because you're using those lower back muscles to keep yourself arched up. So here's the second set, 55 pounds, 15 reps. So I increase the weight and automatically my reps will drop. And so you can see here, you want to sit back into your butt a little bit. Stick that butt up in the air to get that arch in your back. And you can see right here, I'm using a little bit of momentum, but when I get to the top, and you'll see it in this next set too. 65 pounds, 10 reps, it's a little heavier, so you'll see it a little bit more so. As I'm pulling the bar up at the top, I'm thinking of pushing my chest down towards the floor and squeezing my shoulder blades and my shoulders back to get that squeeze. So as my chest goes towards the floor, my shoulders come back. So the most important thing is still getting that contraction. Next set's going to be a little bit heavier, and I'm going to use even a little bit more momentum. And momentum is good as long as you use it in the right place. And in order to go heavy and heavier than you ever lifted, you have to use momentum in order to get the weight moving. And it's good as long as you don't lose your form. And in this case for back, what I call form is never lose that arch in your back. Keep that back flat and never lose the arch. So right here you can see I still have my back flat. I'm going down to get some momentum to like bring my upper body up a little bit, but I'm still pushing my chest forward into the ground when I get to the top the best that I can. And the harder that you go, or the heavier that you go, the harder that will be to do. And this is in slow motion here. So this is the fourth set. So you can see how I stretch down, I come up, so I'm getting my upper body to come up, but when I get to the very top, you'll see that I am not losing my arch. I'm trying to push my chest forward and pull my shoulders back. So the whole goal is to still try to get that squeeze and contraction at the top the best that you can, and not to let your back, upper and lower back to round. So that's how you kind of go heavier, and you keep your form the best that you can, as long as it doesn't get too sloppy. And for what I would call sloppy would be to start to round your back and put pressure on your lower back. Right now my lower back muscles are engaged, and then I come up and get that contraction in the upper part of my back. And I wanted you to see that in slow motion, because then it's maybe a little bit easier to understand. Second back exercise are seated cable pulls, and this has two individual cables, so two handles, and 25 pounds, just started light, 20 reps. And with these handles here, I like to overhand when I go forward and bring them back to almost like an underhand when I come back. Really think of stretching forward just with my upper back. You can see my lower back is still stationary. It's not really moving. I'm stretching forward to get that stretch in my upper back and pulling my shoulders back and sticking my chest up when I pull back. And you'll notice as I get heavier, my upper back won't stretch forward that much. I just kind of do it and exaggerate my form on the lighter set just to kind of get everything warmed up and moving. And that's kind of almost true with any exercise. The lighter you go, the more strict your form can be, and the heavier you go, your form will start to use momentum. And like I said, in order to go heavy, you have to have that momentum there. You can go as heavy as you can without using that momentum, and that's what you want to do. You want to always start off strict. And right here I'm stretching, so you want to stretch in between sets and stretch out your lats and your back. But you always start off strict and keep your form strict, and then as your weight increases, you're going to start to use a little bit of momentum. And like I said, as long as your momentum is the right kind of momentum and you're not losing your form, you're just using the momentum to get past your sticking point, and you're still getting your contraction at the top of the movement, that's what's important. So the goal is to get that contraction every time. If you get to the point to where your form's going and you're not getting that contraction, and you're using other body parts, or it's going where you're not supposed to feel it, like in a bad place, like your back or your arms or elbows, knees, whatever you're training. If it's going in a spot that it's not supposed to, then you need to stop. And this is, I believe it's going to be set number 3 here, which will be 55 pounds and 10 reps. So I'm kind of short. I have short legs, so a lot of times the weight will bottom out. If you have longer legs and you want to stretch forward more, the only thing you want to remember is to keep that back flat and arched up, and you're not going to let it round from your lower back. But you can see the weights pretty much bottom out, so I kind of have to stop. But like I said, most important thing with back is to keep that back flat and slightly arched. Okay, this is the next exercise. Do we want to sit close or sit back? This is lat pull downs with the V grip, and same goes with lat pull downs with the bar. Right here I'm sitting close, and here I'm showing this is leaning back too much from the lower back, and you kind of have to do that if you sit too close, because it puts the pulley behind you, and you want the pulley to kind of be straight up above you like this. So you have to usually, on most machines, sit back in order to do that. Sitting forward again, it puts the pulley almost behind me, like on top of me and behind me, and when you scoot back, it puts it kind of a little bit in front of you, and it makes it easier to arch up to the ceiling when you're doing it this way, when you scoot back. And it's going to vary depending on different machines that you use, but what I found in most of them, it is better to just kind of sit back on the seat like this. Okay, and here's another thing I wanted to talk about too, is you want to watch your elbows and make sure that they're not too far out or too close. If you get when you're pulling down, if you're thinking of pulling your elbows out, you might feel it in your shoulders a little bit more so than your back. And if you try to squeeze them in too close to your body like this, a lot of times you start pulling from your arms, and you're not really getting it in your back like you should. So if you're feeling your arms, and here's my elbows out, pulling them too far out, I think the first part was like what it was supposed to look like. So right here, this is what it's supposed to look like. You're not trying to force your elbows out too far or in too close. If you're feeling other things other than your lats and your back, you're probably not doing it right. you need to adjust maybe your elbows. A lot of things change when you move and adjust your elbows. And here you're going to see this is in a little bit of a slower motion. This is, I'm trying to watch it here to see, staying arched up. You want to keep your chest arched up and stretch all the way up. And right here I'm going to change. You can see now I'm thinking of just pulling with my arms. So right here I'm feeling arms, and you can tell my body's not really arching. And a lot of times you'll see people do this and they're not even arched up as much as I am here. So you don't want to feel your arms on this. Arms is a secondary muscle in this exercise, but you don't want it to be a primary, like you're pulling the weight down from your arms. You want to think of arching your chest up to the ceiling. So you're going to arch up every time you pull down. When the weight comes down, you're thinking of arching your chest up to the ceiling. And you also want to make sure that you don't lean from your lower back. You want to make sure as you're pulling the weight down that you arch up to the weight and not let your chest cave in. You don't want to lean from your lower back, and you don't want your chest to cave in as you're pulling it down. And I didn't think to make that on here so you could see the difference, but with this exercise, so this is going to be the third exercise here, and my first set is 45 pounds, 15 reps. And on all the things that you do for back, it's important to stretch all the way up. That stretches out your lats and your back, and that's part of the motion too. You don't want to stop with your arms bent because it's going to be easier to pull the weight down, which it is in the beginning, but eventually you're not getting that rest time. So as you pull down and stretch all the way up, it's actually allowing you to refocus for the next rep, and you're actually going to be stronger. It's harder because you're starting over for each rep, but that's what you want to do. You want to get that stretch. You want to get the full range of motion. It is always important in any exercise that you do is full range of motion, which means the top of the movement and the stretch is just as important as pulling down and getting that contraction. They're both important. And this is the second set here. And you can see from the side, I stretch all the way up. I have that arch in my back. I'm thinking every time I'm pulling the weights down, I'm thinking of my elbows leading. My elbows are coming down to the ground. And I'm thinking of, as the weight comes down, I'm thinking of pushing my chest up towards the ceiling. Okay, this is the third and the last set. Each set I went heavier, which automatically will make it harder and decrease your reps. But you can see I'm getting a little bit of momentum on this one so I could get it started to get past that sticking point. As I pull down, I'm thinking of pushing my chest up to meet my hands. Or you can think of pushing it up towards the ceiling. And that was it for back. And this is going to be the first ab exercise. The hammer strength machine, set number 1, 10 pounds. I did 12 reps. And with abs, when you're doing this too, sometimes if you're not used to it, it can be too easy to want to grab those handles and pull down with your arms. And really what you're using those handles for is to press your body up against it, lock your upper body into place, and the pads for your feet lock your feet and legs into place. So you have your upper body stabilized and your lower body stabilized, and then you put your focus right in the center, right where your abs are, and you think of crunching your abs to pull the machine together. You're not thinking of pulling down with your arms, or pulling up with your legs and your hip flexors. Your hip flexors will sometimes start to want to do the work. So you just need to refocus and get your focus right in the center of your body, right on your abs, because that's what you're working. Basically, on any exercise that you do, you want to put your focus on what you're using and try to lift from that area. So on here, we're working the abs, so you want to put your focus right on your abs and crunch and squeeze your abs, and think of bringing the two parts together with your abs. And these were kind of hard for me because I haven't been doing these or much abs. So this last set I could only get 8 reps. And I did get sore from this workout, by the way, my back and my abs. And going on to the second ab exercise, these are sliding runners, and it's on a slick platform. You put on these little booties, and my counts were supposed to be 50 count total. So each time the leg comes in and goes out, that's a count. And I think I counted this one, and this one might have been a little bit short. But they're supposed to be 50. I counted 50, but I think I messed up. But this is really good for fitness, cardio, abs. You kind of feel a little bit of quads, arms, shoulders, chest. And basically what you're doing is you're getting up into plank position. You want to make sure that your core is engaged, and you're kind of almost, I like to think of pushing my hands into the ground, and I push my upper back and my lower back up towards the ceiling and crunch those abs. I engage my abs, and then I just go in and out with my feet. And if you're feeling your lower back, you might have your back where it's a little bit swayed and your core is not engaged as much as it should. So you can see here, my back isn't swaying at all. I'm almost thinking of, you kind of almost want to think of like being a kitty cat in a way, that your upper back and lower back kind of has to go up towards the ceiling a little bit, because in order to engage your abs, they can't be swayed, because if your back is swayed, your abs are stretched out. So you want to get those abs engaged. Okay, and this is the third and last exercise. And these are sliding scissors and knee-ins. Same thing with these. You want to keep that core engaged the whole time. Like I said, if you're starting to feel your lower back, you either need to stop or just think of engaging your core more. If you can't engage your core more, you just might not have the strength to do this exercise, or maybe to do too many at once. You might want to start with lower reps and do what you can, but you shouldn't feel your lower back. This is pulling in a little bit of, and doing both knees together like this makes it a little bit harder on your abs. It's harder than the runners. And then pushing your legs out and bringing them in, you're getting a little bit of adductor and abductor muscles. So this is a good one too. And of course you're getting chest and shoulders and arms because you're holding yourself up with your upper body. And this is going to be the last set here. 10 reps on all 3 sets. And I just want to thank all my new subscribers, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. And I'm using a new program here, so I think I might be good with this one. And these are the kind of workouts that I'm going to put on here. So give me a thumbs up, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye bye.